he was shuffling his feet. He had a cane, and he just didn't. He said, "I can't wait to tell everybody it just didn't work." It's I just loved him, and I put him in. And when he came out, he took a heel to toe step. I did not notice it, but I noticed he was crying. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I just took a heel to toe step. I haven't been able to do that. I've shuffled my feet for years." And so, it,
It's
even though
really
he
beautiful.
didn't think it was going to work, it worked. And so I love that you can go in and just have this negative attitude, but it still will do something for you. And I think anybody that goes in, they're changed forever on some level.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into Power Perspectives, People, Passion, Purpose. I'm Shannon, and today I've got a mind-blowing sage of a human with me. She's an author, an engineer, a documentary filmmaker, and an inspired inventor. After opening a light and sound healing center in Colorado in 2010, a series of extraordinary synchronicities guided her to combine light and sound technologies with sacred geometry and Tesla mathematics. The result was a revolutionary vibroacoustic resonance healing chamber called the Harmonic Egg, which is advancing a frequency healing to an unimagined level, giving thousands upon thousands of people new hope for a quality of life they never imagined. I am so grateful to have with me today GAIL LYNN. GAIL, welcome to Power Perspectives.
Thank you for having me. I was so excited to meet you. I think you're amazing. And listening to some of your podcasts, I'm just really excited to be here.
That is really an honor. I am likewise. And I think we're just going to have a great free flowing kind of conversation. But as I was saying to you before recording, just in researching you, you have an abundance of skills and abilities. But just let's start with where you're kind of helping heal the planet. Can you share, what does this fabulous invention of the harmonic egg do, and how does it work its magic?
Oh boy, it's got so much magic to it, and I can't take any credit for it because it's really not mine. It was here for the planet, it's here for humanity, it's here for all the different galactic beings, and it uses sound and light. And if we're sound and light beings by source energy, then we should be healing with that ancient wisdom of sound and light. And so I thought, what's not magical about a large wooden egg that you can lie in that's lined with wood, which is such a beautiful spiritual property, that has the different colors you can use for the chakras. We have produced consciously created music. So I researched the frequencies of the solfeggio suite for a long time. And it didn't really resonate with me. How can everybody heal, with 528 hertz or 396? And there is no one size fits all. But what I did find is that our organs and our systems can respond to different waveforms of instruments. So, for example, with the liver can respond to the waveform of flute, and the nervous system with piano. So the consciously created music was about the waveforms of the instruments and the musicians and their energy. Because you can have a musician playing beautiful music, but if there's ego involved, or even if they have some kind of a illness, it can be transferred through their music. So looking at that and then saying, okay, how can I bring together some of the Tesla mathematics of the 3s, 6s, and 9s that we see in nature? So between the golden ratio and then the 3, 6, and 9, I created a hexagon platform. And at the time I created it, I had no idea what it was supposed to be. I just saw in my mind's eye a hexagram or a hexagon. And you look at the beehives and you look at different things that have that shape. And what I read one time, maybe a couple of years ago, that in the center of a hexagon is a portal. And so it feels like a portal inside the egg with the speakers and the parabola on the side. And you just get that energy of the music just circling all around you. And sometimes it sounds like the music's coming from above you or behind you or in front of you, but it's really just how the music's expressing itself inside of this beautiful place where life comes from in an egg. So what's not magical about that?
That is, I really can't wait to experience this firsthand. And I mean, we see in nature the hexagons, the shape that the bees make, and like in Ireland, the Galway or the Giant's causeway, that is nature's most efficient shape, unless it's the egg. And can you talk to us a little bit about, I mean, this magic number, 1.618, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's the golden ratio. That's phi. So when you were looking at the hexagon, how did that come into play being an egg then? You just kind of, what's inside of the hexagon is the egg.
So I was using a light box technology that was in the shape of a rectangle, and it worked great. And that's where I started with my sound and light journey. And I realized that was very masculine. It was very angular and it had a lot of hard edges. And I, at the time, was very tuned in with my masculine energy and had a lot of hard edges myself. And so I realized that it was very physical and when it was very environmental. So detoxing the body of toxins and then working on physical. But I thought if most of our trauma is coming from, emotional, we have emotional trauma, and that's where our disease is, it's kind of lying in that emotional trauma in our cells, then we need something that's more feminine and curved and has a little more flexibility. And so as I was in this box, I would start to have visions and then I was starting to have dreams at night because what sound and light does, I think it takes away the trauma from the cellular memory. It lifts that veil so that we can be the magical, amazing beings that we are here to be. But we get so blocked with all the baggage and all the people telling you can't and you shouldn't or you won't be able to. And so I feel like it lifts you out of that and brings you to your higher self and your higher power where you know the magic of who you are. And I don't think there's anything that we can't do, but we get hoodwinked into believing that we can't.
That resonates. And I love that, you're so into the, it's not just power of belief. You've actually have the scientific evidence and the creation of it. Now, just if we were to talk to somebody that's like a bit of a skeptic and, just hasn't actually understood what Tesla and the engineering and the divine abilities of sound and light to help us heal, what would you say to them if they're like, oh, I don't believe this, let me try? Can they nocebo themselves out of the healing working?
That's a great question. I would first say read my book because that's the question. That's the question of the day. So many people have asked me. So I wrote a book and there's 90 references of how sound and how light works and why it works scientifically. We could have a 6-hour conversation about that. But I did have a gentleman come in one time and he had Parkinson's and his church paid for the sessions for him because they thought that it would help him. And a lot of people go into the egg and they say, even if it doesn't do anything, I get to spend 1 hour with God. And a lot of people think that they're just being in silence and just, there's music in there, but at the end there's some silence. And there's just the magic of being alone and just listening to your body and healing. So he came in and he said, can I read a book in there? I said, no. And he was shuffling his feet. He had a cane and he just didn't, he said, I can't wait to tell everybody it just didn't work. I just loved him. And I put him in. And when he came out, he took a heel to toe step. I did not notice it, but I noticed he was crying. And I said, what happened? He said, I just took a heel to toe step. I haven't been able to do that. I've shuffled my feet for years. And so even though he didn't think it was going to work, it worked. And so I love that you can go in and just have this negative attitude, but it still will do something for you. And I think anybody that goes in, they're changed forever on some level. And people will go in and have amazing experiences and describe all the things that they've seen and ideas they've had and dreams. And then some people will come out and say nothing happened. And that's okay too. Because even for me, I will be in there sometimes and it's like, oh my gosh, is it over yet? I've got so many things to do. But it'll be a couple of days and you'll feel the integration and you feel the peace. you feel the nervous system rebooting and your body becoming kind of one with itself and one with nature and one with everybody else. So it's based on the principles of love, and love being the highest vibration. So if love's the highest vibration and you're surrounded by love inside of a womb-like or cocoon-like energy, it just changes you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's incredible. And I almost cried a little bit just thinking about like who I can't wait to get into this egg and who is going to come out like, oh my God, I didn't think that would work, but love is the highest answer to everything. Love is brings us back to equilibrium, brings us back to source energy, brings us back to the health, totality, oneness. That makes perfect sense. And so it works with the automatic nervous system. It just realigns and helps the dis-ease become out of that resonance. Is that correct? Like that's what your tuning fork kind of shows
we've
us.
done right. We've done heart rate variabilities. What is this? The C and the D tuning forks helps the nervous system. I can't remember the letters of the keys, but our nervous system is wonderful. Our bodies are wonderful, but we're so stuck in fight or flight. Like we were talking before the show, so many people are just so stressed out, and that blocks your rest and digest. So you have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And so when we did heart rate variability testing, and I asked the doctor that was reading all the heart rate variability tests for me, I said, well, if I had to refund somebody's money because it didn't improve their ANS, I said, how many people would I have to really refund? And she said, nobody. I said, okay, Denise, I'm asking you, how many people did not have an improvement in their ANS? She said, I have seen a huge improvement or a small improvement in everybody. And she tested over 200 people for me. So when the nervous system is in balance, that's the magic of the body. The body can heal itself naturally. So it's not that the egg is magical, you are magical. You're the magic, but when you're not in balance, you're not very magical.
Right. And that makes so much sense. And again, with the goosebumps that you keep giving me today. Now, speaking of abundance, and to me, I understand synchronicity is a form of abundance. And I read that, while you were birthing this beautiful invention and things were coming to you, that just these extraordinary synchronicities kept occurring to you. Can you share some of those that guided you to the egg?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, there's so many. But I think I want to share and impart on your audience that not all of them are beautiful, but if we can look at them as beautiful, because that's how I met my light engineer, my sound engineer. That's how I met the guy that did the first prototype, all super amazing synchronicities. But I feel like one of the synchronicities was a car accident that I had. And so I tell people I had a really bad car accident. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And they're like, wait a
Congratulations.
minute, did you just say? So if I could impart on to the people that are listening, it really was the best thing that ever happened to me. I feel like my guides, I'm very stubborn, I'm very Scorpio, and I was just resisting the last part. There was one last detail of the egg that just wouldn't come through. And so I feel like my guides were like, we're just going to have to blast her because this is just going to have to happen. And so I was going through an intersection. A girl, 16 years old, just got her driver's license, ran a red light. It was snow covered. And the lights with the LED lights that we have now, they don't heat up. So when the snow blows that way, it gets packed on the lights and she couldn't see if it was red or green. So she kept going instead of, when you're more experienced of a driver, you know to slow down. So she hit me about 60 miles an hour on my driver's side, spun around the intersection. At that moment, it was an NDE or a near-death experience. And a guy opened the passenger side door because I couldn't get into the driver's side door. And he said, are you okay? And I was like, it was so nice to see you again. Like totally delusional, but I knew everybody and everything. And that's when the rest of the information came through. And it was a super cool synchronicity. But when you said abundance, this is what I want to say. I did not have the money to build a prototype. And I was like, where am I going to get this money from? And the insurance company called me up and they said, we have to do a settlement for you. I said, no, I'm not suing anybody. No, it's no big deal. I feel so bad for this little girl because she's only 16. And to have that experience when you're 16, oh my gosh, PTSD, right? I said, no, I'm not suing anybody. And they said, no, we have to give you a check. I'm like, okay. was really the exact amount that I needed to build the prototype.
Of course
So
it was.
there's a synchronicity. That was so funny. And I thought, I don't know, people are just handing me money. I was like, this is so weird. But I guess the insurance companies have to do some kind of a settlement. And I had a sign that I wasn't going to sue, but I wasn't going to anyway. So I'm like, all right, bonus.
Wow, that's awesome. And how long did it take you to go from concept to here we are now? And you've got over, 136 Harmonic Egg center owners in over 10 countries, and the propulsion is just going. And how long from an idea to now?
It really didn't take long. You see my signature, it says let it flow. Sometimes I have a hard time with that. But as soon as I had the idea, and I have experience in CAD and drafting and engineering, so I kind of drafted it up, and synchronistically, a gentleman that I'd known for years walked into my office, and I was like, "Oh, I got this idea," and I called the manufacturer, and they said it can't be done. You can't build a large wooden egg, and he was like, "Can you draw it?" And I said, "I already drew it. Here." He said, "I can do this for you," and I was like, "What?" It took us a year. I think he quit twice. I fired him twice. We were like, no, that's not it. He's like, well, what is it? I said, I don't know. That's just not it. It doesn't feel right. So we had such a blast doing it. It was amazing. It took about a year. And then we had doctors and shamans and dowsers and healers test it. Because the worst thing in the world for me is that I would never want it to do any harm. So we tested it, the protocol. Okay, should we do it every day? Should we do it for 5 days? Should we do it for 3 days? Should we do it for, an hour? Should we do it for 30 minutes? Should we do it for 2 hours? So we tested it for 6 months. And then some people walked into my office to do a session in the light box. They happened to peek into the prototype room and they said, what is that? And I said, it's just something I'm working on. Can we buy it? I guess. So they bought the first 2.
Wow. Wow.
They're like, how much are they? I was like, I don't know. I don't even know how much they are yet.
That's incredible. When you're aligned, and the universe conspires to work in your favor because that is you, and that egg is you, your creation, whether, you take credit for it or not. I think it's the combination. And that's so beautiful. I think the world is better off now because you had that car accident, you had that idea. So amazing.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. I mean, it's I think the idea was out there. I can't tell you how many people said, I had that idea like a year ago, or I had that idea 2 years ago, or 6 years ago. And I just look at them, and the Scorpio in me says, well, you didn't do anything with it. So,
yep.
Somebody's got to do something with the energy, because all those ideas are out there for you to grab in the universe. It's just who's going to take it.
Yes. And I loved something else that you said. You were speaking to someone about each egg amplifies the energy of other eggs. And that aligned to me like with the crystalline grid and, other crystals amplifying each other. Can you describe a little bit about that? And did you know that was going to happen the more eggs that you had or built?
No, I had somebody come in one time when it was first put out. We just had a few eggs, and they said, these eggs are vibrating at 963 hertz. And I'm like, okay, like, where did you just pull that number from? Okay. And then somebody else said, oh, these are vibrating at over 1,000 hertz now. I said, really? I'm like, So my engineering mind and my little, philosophical mind said, we have more eggs on the planet now. Somebody's telling me they're at a higher vibration. They're at 1,500 hertz now. And every time another one lands on the planet, it feels like it connects energetically to each other. And so, as an engineer from Detroit, it's a little bit cuckoo for me to think about this sometimes, but I can't deny it because it's just there and it's all energy. And I had a lady in the Belgium egg when the crates arrived of the Peru egg. Was the first one that came to Peru. Now we have 2 in Peru, 2 in Ecuador. And she told the practitioner, oh, the Peru egg is there. And the Belgian practitioner called me and I said, it's not even built yet. How did she even feel that? So crazy.
Harmonic resonance. Yeah. And the fact that you said the first one, 963, that's the Tesla energy, the Tesla numbers, but then for them to keep amplifying, that's important work on this planet. I think, do you know how many it could, I mean, you'll just keep building them until, just keep building
Well,
them.
we have 200 sold because a lot of people have them in their homes. And then some centers, there's 136 centers, but some of them have 2 eggs. So there's probably over 200 now that we have on the land. And I believe they're finding their way to where they need to be. At one point, I was mapping them out inside the map of Enoch, inside the doves, the dove, and they were all going into the wings. So I haven't done a map of, the grid, but it feels like they find where they need to be. Then all of a sudden, they started all being in California. And one lady said, well, there's a fault line here that it needs to repair. I'm like, okay. And then when you look at Colorado, we have I-25. I-25 is very dangerous. There's always an accident there. And then I started looking at where the eggs were going on in Colorado. And it's almost like that was the artery of Colorado. And there's Fort Collins and Meade and Louisville all the way down to Colorado Springs along the I-25 line.
I have driven that line. I know what you're talking about. It's chaos. So that's really cool. It almost seems like a needle and thread to sewing up something, maybe sewing up some energy.
Yeah.
That's
it's magical to me, and I still don't understand it completely. So every day I'm learning.
Wow. And you also have another technology that you invented, which in its essence is like the harmonic egg, but it's called Ellipse. Can you share a bit about that?
So, I guess to be completely honest with you, it was just a bad contract that I signed, and I wanted to get a new design that was more self-assembly. So contractually, I couldn't call this one the harmonic egg yet. And so I called the harmonic egg Ellipse. But all it really is a new door design and more self-assembly. It's the same dimensions, the same speakers, the same lights, the same protocol, the same music. So it's just a new design. But what we found is it's more handicap accessible because it's the doors open and then like a wheelchair can roll right up to it. And it has the pure wood without any kind of painting or spackling because we had to make it smooth. The first iteration of it, we had to kind of paint it and spackle it inside to keep the smoothness. And now we have it where it's just raw wood. So it's really just a little bit of a redesign, but yeah.
Ooh. And that almost makes it a little bit easier for home ownership.
Yes, it's easier to move, but we do have a home unit that's a light capsule. It's just a light capsule. And so it'll fit in the corner of a room like it's 48 inches in diameter. But during the pandemic, people didn't want to leave their home. So they asked me, can you invent something else? And I was like, oh my gosh, it took me so many years to invent this egg. And within a few months, I was like, boom, 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 sacred geometry, hexagon platform, one light, one speaker, light capsule, like beam me up, Scotty, and Star Trek Enterprise. And then the manufacturer was able to make it really quickly. So right away, people were buying those for their home. And it's not as powerful as the egg, but it's more for maintenance. And what I saw was so much domestic violence, people getting trapped in their homes by themselves or with their families, not by themselves. And they were isolated. And so there was a lot more domestic violence and a lot more emotional, maybe situations in the home. So I called it the let it flow therapy, or the lift, LIFT. And I said, if people really want to say something that they know that they'll regret, go get a lift. Just go and get a lift. And then when you come out of there, you won't say that thing that you'll never be able to take back.
I love that. That's really great because that is so important. We are so kind of not broken by the media and by society right now, but it's so important to have that core, your home feel safe and your home feel like, somewhere you can be lifted up as opposed to not feeling safe anywhere. So that's incredible. With a lot of people's experiences, I mean, you've shared with the gentleman that took his heel to toe step. What's probably one of the greatest improvements in health and wellness that you've seen either at one of your centers or personally?
Oh, wow. Gosh, there's so many. We have like a whole website of testimonials, but I can tell you several. So one of them was a gentleman who had he met the love of his life while he was in the Navy, and he was married to her for 27 years. He brought home a cold from his job being in a factory and gave it to her. And the cold killed her. Basically, she aspirated in the shower, and he was downstairs because he didn't want to wake her up coughing. So he let her sleep. He heard the shower go on. Shower went off. She never came downstairs. When he went upstairs, she had passed. And then the police came and said, did you kill your wife? And just horrible things. So shortly after that, he had a heart attack, and 40% of his heart died. You can die from a broken heart. It's a real thing. So 40% of his heart died because that was the love of his life. And so he started doing sessions, and it was time to get his pacemaker battery changed. And so I asked him to I had a medical doctor coming to do sessions, and he said, get me his ejection fraction number and his cardiac output number, and I can tell you how much of his heart is still dead. So he gives me the numbers. And the doctor's looking at the numbers, looking at me, looking at the numbers, looking at me. And he said, this heart is fully functional. It has completely regenerated. So this guy is my boyfriend now. He
Oh,
passed
wow.
probably about 14 or 15 years ago. And yeah, so I just told him, I said, your heart grew because you love me so much. Or it was because of the sessions. But I believe our organs can regenerate. I believe when we're in the right environment, that our body can heal. And we are, like I said, magical beings. So that's one story. That's pretty
How are you going to top
spectacular.
that one? That's spectacular.
Yeah,
That's, you were meant to find each other.
exactly. He's my Viking warrior, and just lovely. Just supports me being his goddess and allows me to thrive. And he's much older than I am, so he's already, done his things. He was in the Navy for 22 years, and then he retired from a factory, mechanical engineer for 21 years. So he just loves, I think he thrives by seeing me thrive. It's so beautiful. So another guy had renal failure with kidney failure. And after about 6 sessions, his kidney came back to life, and one of them even increased in power, more than it was. So that's why I say, our body can regenerate. Our bodies are magical, but we don't make any claims because we just don't want to be on the radar that way. Your body can
Right.
heal itself. We put you in a relaxation giant wooden egg, and it does what it does.
Oh, I love that. And I was actually listening to a channeler today, Bashar, talk about Tesla, and he was talking about how Tesla got taken down because of the magnificent power that he had unraveled and discovered. It isn't really the right word, but himself experienced that. And I was going to ask, do you ever feel any of that kind of fear of, like, what you're doing is incredible, what the egg is doing is miraculous, some might say, and pharmaceutical companies, yada, 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 they don't want that. Are you ever in kind of a stay away from that area, or like a fear of them doing anything about this, or how do you feel about that?
So I don't live in fear. I get annoyed when they want to attack me because I've been on Channel 4 News. I've been attacked by the news. I've had some countries say, oh, you can't say this or you can't say that. So I'm more like the Scorpio annoyed kind of person.
Yeah.
I don't live in any fear. And I do believe that I stay in a place of love. I feel like I'm protected. And when my time's up, the time is up. There's nothing that I can do to change that. So sometimes I feel like there's been some attacks, psychic attacks or other, but I really just go in the egg and I just
Yeah.
ask the egg to help me. I really do. Had to do it twice that I can think of. That was a little bit scary. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the time. This is, but I wasn't in fear. I just went in the egg and I'm like, well, this will be a nice, peaceful place to go.
That's incredible. I'm so happy for this invention. I'm so glad that it exists. And you even said, or I saw on your Instagram page, I think that it's helping people on the autism spectrum as well. What have you been finding with those kind of results?
Well, if you don't know who Susie Miller is, you need to know. She wrote the book called Awesomeism,
Oh,
which is a great. She's been working with the nonverbal autistics and the autistics for many years. So she and I met because I had a friend who knew what I was doing, and the same friend knew her. And she was telling this friend, she's like, oh my gosh, the kids keep telling me about this pod that's going to come to the planet. This pod's coming to the planet that's going to help them. I don't know what this pod is. I don't know when it's coming. And she said, I think you
what?
need to talk to my friend Gail because she has an egg. And so within 5 days, she had flown from California to Denver to get in the egg. And she said, Gail, this is the pod. This is the pod the kid's been telling me about. So we have a
Oh,
ton of testimonials from autism kids. One of them was nonverbal, and his mom was determined to ensure that her child had somewhat of a normal life. And so she would take him anywhere, even the craziest things like a large wooden egg. And after 2 sessions, he sat on his dad's lap, who was an attorney who didn't believe any of it, but he just let his wife do, whatever. And the son, who was nonverbal, sat on his dad's lap and said, powerful egg.
oh my
I could
gosh.
tell you so many
I,
stories. Just recently, Susie sent me a video of a girl that was playing. She played the piano, played 3 songs after her egg session without knowing how to play the piano, and played 3 songs like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So we posted the video of her doing that. It's like, what? But the kids are all about love, and they know that we need more love on this planet. And so I learned a lot from Susie. And we started a scholarship fund. So my nonprofit, faith-based nonprofit, donates to her organization to help parents to take her course so they can learn how to connect and how to be more present with their children. So it's really beautiful.
that is next level. And I can just feel the cogs turning of every parent that it's like, okay, is this suitable for my child? And I even saw that pets are being in there, and I saw that remote viewings can happen if someone feels too ill or is unable to actually physically come to the egg. You can put the picture in there. I just want to be an ambassador for you. I want to first experience it, and then I'm just so excited to already tell the planet as many people as I can. Have you heard of this egg? If you haven't, get into this egg, experience this, because that's life changing, and not just. I I'm so inclined to share this. It's an Abraham Hicks quote, I think, and I feel it a bit with you right now. And she says, one person that is in alignment is more powerful than millions that aren't. And I think I'm feeling that this egg gets people into that harmonic resonance, that alignment that can really truly inspire the planet. And there's the goosebumps again. So, wow.
True.
Wow. And I can feel your energy is so calm. It's so knowing. And I think that's a really true state of power. Real power doesn't need to exert itself. Real power doesn't need to show how powerful it is. It just is. And I think you really got that power. And I think this is such a great gift that I get to share your power perspective right now. And other people have shared that they have been in the egg, and after they've got the story that they couldn't write. That's something I'm kind of excited to go experience and maybe have a unblockage of writing my book. And some people have more creativity with their arts or their performances or their, whatever it is that they've kind of felt blocked with. And then having the egg experience, they are then able to do the thing that they had just put in the, like, why can't I achieve this? Do you think that's because they've come into their proper alignment or let go of the dis-ease?
I think they are clearing trauma blockages because when you're a kid, oh, you can't do that. Oh, why did you do that? Oh, that was stupid. Oh, you're this, you're that. And so I think that it's clearing it from the cellular memory so that they can express what's there on the shelf for them that's just been sitting there for them all these years. So yes, I do think it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I have so many pieces of artwork. I've been sent poems. I've been sent people's books that they said they wrote them because of the egg. Just it's so beautiful, so beautiful.
It's all just feels like a miracle and an onset of those follow-on miracles. What is next for you? You have, and I mean, I haven't even really barely scratched the sides of your bio, but like, what is next for GAIL LYNN? You've got such a skill set, and now that you have the egg that you can just keep coming back into your own alignment, what do you feel passionate about? What else lights you up? What else do you feel like doing?
Wow. I feel like I've been blessed so much. And that's why I created the nonprofit, because I'm giving back as much as I can. I'm creating I guess I want to be an inspirer for the new business model of cooperation instead of competition. I want to be the person that levels that pyramid. I don't need 3 cars, 16 houses, a boat, a plane. I don't need that. I want to share the abundance. I want to share what I've been blessed with. So I want to help people do their dreams. So when people come to me, I've actually financed so many people because a lot of healers don't have good credit. And the banks, they're supposed to be for the people, and we're supposed to have the American dream of entrepreneurship. The banks were supposed to help with that and help people get into their dreams. So I'm helping them. So that's a beautiful thing that I love because somebody helped me. So I really want to share that. Also love my horse. I love spending time with her. So I'm hiring more people and helping the economy, helping them so I can buy back more of my time and do the things that I love. I was just gardening this morning because it's 70 degrees here. And so I was doing some gardening and transplanting some things and playing with my horse. And we're going to be filming next week. So cleaning up the yard a little bit for filming the rest of the documentary next week. So yeah, it's really, really fun.
Awesome. And I wanted to ask you about that, like filmmaking. That's an incredible feat in itself, and it takes a lot of passion and purpose and desire. Can I ask what your documentary is about and how far you're along in the process?
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah, what is it? I'm already going to watch it.
So we I want to educate people. So that's next for me too. I want to educate people. I want to educate people on how they can use music and food as medicine, how to raise their consciousness, and how to be more present in the place of love and gratitude. And so I brought together a bunch of characters that were neuroscientists, naturopathic doctors, spiritual healers. Susie Miller's interviewed. She's talks about autism and the love that the kids have. And then a healthcare attorney who left the healthcare field because the doctors were sicker than their patients and she just couldn't do it anymore. The neuroscientist said, her mom was a tea reader, her grandmother was a tea reader, and she lost the gift when she started getting educated. She got disconnected from source. And then she said, all of her studies, they said, you can't put this out. This is not what the advertisers want. And she said, I didn't get into this field to put out what the advertisers want. I got into the field to put out the truth. And so she left. So naturopathic doctors talking about consciousness and love, spiritual healers talking about love. And so you follow me on this journey to interview these sage, wise people and to educate people about getting more nutrients from the soil and realizing that supplements are nothing more than a processed food and an expensive urine, because we don't know what our bodies are absorbing and they don't have the cofactors. And like our food has the cofactors that we can absorb. And we don't know what energy is into these supplements, the manufacturer's energy and the um, people who are handling it. And so, yeah, I wanted people to really have some hope about a non-invasive way to have a quality of life, to realize that we don't really have to age because we can take care of ourselves and our bodies in such a beautiful way that we can stay young and vibrant, and we don't have to have dementia for 12 years and die, or have, a chronic disease. And so I really want the ending of this to be that people realize how magical they are and just empower them. So it's much more complicated than that. We've had 3 locations. This is our 3rd location. We did Michigan, we did Sedona, and now here in Denver, we'll shoot next week, and we're hoping to have it out by early fall.
Oh, wow. What's it called? Can I ask, or too soon yet?
Well, we have a working title, but we don't have the title yet. We feel like the title hasn't shown itself yet, but what keeps coming up is it's time.
Powerful. And something that's been coming up with myself and everyone I've been talking to, and people I've been interviewing lately, has been be here now. That just keeps coming back. It's like, now is the time. Now is the time to start the action you keep putting off, to drive yourself to be your authentic self, to let go of things, to surrender, to no longer worry about what other people are thinking, and just be you. And most of being you is being the healthy version of you. I would be very excited to see your documentary when it comes out. I'll be a huge fan, I'm sure. And
There's
I
so
love
many things that are said, the sound bites. Let's see, Sarah says we need to get out of a place of loving power to the power of love.
Mhm.
And then Cynthia says something about the only thing that separates us is judgment. And I'm just thinking we've got some powerful sound bites in there. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm scared too. I mean, I say I don't live in fear, but I'm scared that people won't like it. Or, they're going to be like, oh, they could have done this or she could have done that. So it's a lot of pressure on me, but I'm really excited.
I feel you. I think everybody is feeling some sort of that lately, but the push from within to do it anyway, feel the fear and do it anyway, because you'll always regret not, and you're already doing it. And I think you've already seen the level at which you can change humanity and bring about healing, bring about a new way to think about something, change someone's mind from being a skeptic to crying with gratitude and disbelief. I think you're the exact person that you're the only ever the exact person that can bring your creation to life. I'm super excited to see how it comes out. And it's nice to talk about these things like judgment. I have it roll over a lot in my brain, and choosing discernment over judgment. And often the things that I'm judging, I used to do. And that's why I feel not me anymore. I'm not that person wearing that or doing that or drinking that or, eating that. And only because I've been there, or I associate a former pain with it. And the more it just keeps bringing back to like, well, that's you. That's you and source energy showing you back to you to see how you can now love it with more power and love it with a higher level of compassion, because that's also you. There's no time. It's just you showing yourself. Have you improved with love, or do you want to learn this lesson again? Most of the time it's, I don't want to learn it again. I want to know, and then move on to the next lesson.
It's so fun. I just read an article, a couple months ago now, triggers are treasures. Mm-hmm. And so now when one of my center owner has a trigger, I laugh at them, and I don't mean to be insulting them, but I just laugh. I'm like, this isn't who you are. Like, what is actually going on? Where is this fear coming from? When was the last time you felt this way? And usually like, oh, when I was 8 years old, or when I was 12 years old, or when I was 14 years old, this happened. And that's the feeling that's coming back. For them to release it, for them to own it, for them to process it. And I just I love when they have a trigger and they're struggling through it. Usually you'll get a voice text from me, and I'll like say, okay, where is this really coming from? And it's so cute. I'm kind of famous for my voice texts. I just pick up the phone and start recording.
With all of the work that you've done, I know you shared about the accident, but I call them lessons, like your lessons in disguise. Was that your greatest lesson, or have you had, as you pursue your passion and your purpose, what's kind of been the greatest lesson for you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think just the humility. I think the humility that I have experienced. That was a really good question. So, my opinion, my opinion, I never want to influence someone else, because what if I gave my opinion and they didn't do something that could have helped them? So I've really been careful about not giving advice if not asked, or if being asked, like, what do you think of this modality or that modality? I say, you know what, if it resonates with you, you should try it. Because what if I said, oh, I didn't have a good experience with that, and then they don't do it, but it would have been something that helped them. So I think that was a big lesson, because I was very opinionated and always had an answer or a solution for everybody. Some people call me a PPPS, a people-pleasing problem solver.
Oh, I just felt kind of identifying with that, but I totally get what you mean. Like, your answer isn't that person's answer or that person's answer. I think there's as many healing modalities as there is humans. But yeah, that was a great reminder for me hearing that also. Thanks.
Yeah,
um,
you're welcome. I mean, you have to keep reminding yourself sometimes, because you want to give somebody the answer, yes or no, just as you want to receive a yes or no answer when you're asked a question. But sometimes you have to be reflective and you have to go inward and find the answer yourself, because you have all the answers.
yeah. And sometimes even if you have the right answer, that person's not going to be able to take your advice because it's just not their path. It's not what they are kind of written in their path to experience or learn or overcome. And that's something we just have to
Yeah.
understand about each other. Now, just like, there's so much more to you than, the inventor of the harmonic egg, a documentary filmmaker. You also have, like, an incredible journey that led you to the harmonic egg. But also you have incredible, just unique stories, like a link to Elvis and your auto engineering. Can you share your path, through the storm to how you actually got here today, who you are?
Oh yeah, it's funny that usually people start with that question. I love that you ended with it. Wink, wink. Um, so I started out, I mean, when I remember being born, when I was in an egg session one time, and I remember there was like something above in the room, but it wasn't the nurses, it wasn't my mom or dad, and somebody was like almost rubbing their hands together, like, you know, um, yeah, like
Fire.
warming up their hands, going, she's here. So obviously, the people or the guides already knew what my whole path was going to be. But I think it's funny because I went from automotive, which I needed the engineering background, to telecom, doing international business, which I needed, to Hollywood, making a film, which brought me right full circle to doing the documentary now, which is hilarious. When I look at my life and how I have followed all the breadcrumbs, it's been perfectly divine. And then I don't think I would have gotten into the healing part if I didn't get very sick. So after, overachiever in automotive, overachiever in telecom, overachiever in Hollywood, and then boom, 37 years old, on the verge of a heart attack, according to my heart rate variability test. And then I had, migraines, and I had liver issues, and I was on thyroid medication, and they wanted to do a hysterectomy on me. And I had cystic acne and my hair was falling out. And I thought, oh, these things they just happen when you get older, 37, right? And so there's no way that I was going to live. And so I had to have that lesson to get into this, wellness industry. But because I found the answers and I want to help people, then I said, oh, what if this could help other people with migraines? What if this could help other people with cystic acne and hair falling out? And so I just started studying, and it just magically put me into that industry. And so this is my fourth career, and I'm 53. So I feel better than I ever have in my entire life. And I just feel like the sky's the limit. Anybody can do anything that they want to. Because if I can, anybody can. I didn't come from a silver spoon in my mouth. My dad had only a seventh grade education. My mom had a high school diploma, and I, grew up in a pessimistic blue collar environment in Detroit area. And so I feel like I can be an inspiration for people, because if I can do it, anybody can. So, yeah.
You are. You absolutely are. It's not that you can be, it's that you already are and are continuing to be. And I think everybody that feels your work or has the resonance in the chambers can attest to that. That's absolutely incredible. Gail, can you share how, if I was watching this, I feel like, where's the egg? How do I get to the egg? Like, can you just share how people can learn more about you and your products and where we can find you online?
Absolutely. Harmonicegg.com. Pretty easy. If you go to the locations tab and type in your zip code or your country, you will find the closest locations and support all these wonderful egg guardians in their quest for abundance and to be of service to you. There's such lovely people. The egg found them in most cases. And then my book's there. We also wrote a children's book that was focused around the autistic community. So the colors are the very calming colors, the blues, the cyans, the purples, the greens, and it's about a little dragon that finds a giant egg in the forest. And it just, I mean, I love it. The illustrations are beautiful. The story's so cool. And so it's really an adult children's book. And then all of
The
our
best
consciously
kinds.
created music is there. Yeah, right. All of our consciously created music is there to download or purchase. And it comes with song notes, and the song notes will tell you what chakra it will evoke, what organs it will help, what colors are intended. So while you're listening to that music, you can put that color light on, or wear a silk, colored scarf with that music, or eat the foods of that the color intention. So really cool to use for healing at home if you would like to. So yeah, it's really fun.
I hope everybody finds you. I will put links in the description on YouTube as well as on social media. But gosh, I just feel like I've been speaking with an ascended master that has this wisdom that has been around for, I don't know, thousands and thousands of years, for millennia. And you've just brought back this ancient mystical knowledge and wisdom. And I am so grateful that you've shared it with the world, that you took the steps, that all of the paths have led you to where you are at. And I am super excited to be an ambassador for this in whatever way that I can. Gail, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.